my name is Joy, and welcome to the very first episode of Bookish Baking. So I really love to bake, and I've been wanting to do this series for a while now, and I figured that the perfect way to start would be making a birthday cake for one of my favorite fictional characters ever, Harry Potter. Today is July 31st, his birthday, and so I thought it would be fun to make the birthday cake that Hagrid makes for him when he tells him that he's a wizard and he's going to Hogwarts. So this recipe is great because it's really simple and it doesn't have to be perfect because, of course, Hagrid's cake was not the most perfect looking cake ever. So for this recipe, you're going to need a box of cake mix. You can use any kind you like, and of course you can make your cake from scratch. However, I thought that using a box would just simplify things a little bit. You will need icing. I'm using white icing, so that way when I dye it pink, it will have a nice color and won't be tinted too much. And you are also going to need either some green writing icing, or you can just mix green food coloring into your white icing and use a piping bag to put that on. Now I'm just going to follow the instructions on the back of my cake box and make sure that I set my oven to the time that it tells me. Because I am making a white cake mix, instead of adding 3 eggs, I will be adding 4 egg whites, which means that I'm going to have to do some spells to separate my eggs, so Egaro Sepriaro. Just kidding, I'm going to actually have to separate them. We're going to add in our egg white. So, get that in. Look at these skills. Get me on the Great British Bake Off. So now that we have all our ingredients, we are going to mix it up. And of course, if you want to use a spell and do it that way, it'd be easier. But today, we are going to do it the Muggle way. It would probably help if you plugged it in first. So there's some top baking advice for you. And now we have to spray our pans. And also rewash our hands because we touched a dog and we don't know where he's been. Our round pans, I'm using 2 separate ones so that I can stack them on top of each other once they're baked. Now that we have that all done, we are going to try and evenly pour our cake mixture into both tins. So now that we have our cakes all made, we can put them in the oven for about a half an hour. And while they're baking, we can go ahead and make our frosting, or we could go watch the Harry Potter birthday marathon on Freeform. And even if you're not watching this on Harry's actual birthday, there's a good chance that there is a Harry Potter marathon on Freeform going on anyways, so go ahead and check. So now that our cakes are baking, I'm going to go ahead and mix up our light pink icing. It's really helpful to Google photos of the cake and see what is the right shade of pink if you want to try and get as close to the cake in the movie as possible. Probably like 4-ish drops, probably. That's probably good. Now that we've taken our cakes out of the oven and given them a little bit of time to cool, now it is time to take our 2 cakes and combine them into one. So I'm going to take the frosting that we dyed pink and put it in between the 2 layers of the cake. Okay, And very carefully just pop that on. And there we go. Now that we have our top layer of the cake on, we can go ahead and frost the entire thing pink. But now I have my cake all frosted, and it is very important to remember while frosting and decorating this cake that it is not supposed to look perfect. It is supposed to look like someone who probably doesn't have a lot of experience with baking made it, and like it's been carried around in a box and been smushed and thrown and just really not taken the best care of. So now we're going to move on to the decorating. And again, I think it is really important to have a reference photo if you want to get this as accurate as possible. So the cake has this quite odd shape cut out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out so we can see where we want to put our lettering. For my lettering, I did have a writing tool that I bought at the supermarket. However, while I was trying to squeeze it out, it burst everywhere. So I just put the contents into a plastic baggie and cut off a small tip. Okay, so this green icing was definitely a lot thicker than I expected to be, but I still think the cake turned out pretty nice. And by pretty nice, I actually mean pretty terrible, but that was the look we were going for. So overall, I think it looks pretty accurate, and I can't wait to take a bite of it and celebrate Harry's birthday. So thank you guys so much for watching my first ever episode of Bookish Baking. Be sure to let me know if you'd like to see more baking videos and what kinds of books you'd like to see me bake treats inspired by. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!